Welcome to NFL Talk. This week is going to be a tough one for the Jaguars taking on the Lions. And with Trevor Lawrence still out with that shoulder injury, it just adds another layer of difficulty. Mac Jones is back in that starting role, and he's going up against a defense that's been giving quarterbacks a really hard time. So given all of that, what are the key things you're looking for in Jones's performances?
I think the biggest thing, honestly, is going to be his decision-making under pressure. The Lions have a very aggressive pass rush, and they're going to be doing everything they can to force those quick throws from Jones. So he's going to have to be really smart with the football, avoid those turnovers.
We did have those 2 interceptions last week against the Vikings, so that's definitely something we'll all be watching closely. Do you think those turnovers were more because of Jones's inexperience, or were there other things going on there?
Well, one of those interceptions you're talking about was pretty late in the game, right? Just a desperation heave, so I wouldn't read too much into that one. But that other interception, yeah, that one was a little more concerning. He tried to force it into really tight coverage. And, well, it got picked off. That's definitely something that he's going to have to clean up, especially if he wants to find success against a team like the Lions.
So you're saying reading the defense and making the right decision in a split second, that's going to be crucial for him this week.
Absolutely. He has to be able to see where that pressure is coming from, make the right reads. I mean, the Lions have a lot of talent on that defense. He's going to have to be at his best.
And it's not just about avoiding mistakes either. He's got to be able to make plays when they're there. What are some of the strengths that Jones has that he can use to his advantage against the Lions?
One thing that jumps out at me about Jones is his mobility. I mean, he's not as much of a scrambler as, say, Lawrence, but he can move around in that pocket, extend those plays, and that could be really valuable against a team that likes to blitz like the Lions do.
So he could use those legs to buy himself a little time and then find an open receiver downfield.
Exactly. And another thing, he's shown pretty good accuracy, especially on those short and intermediate throws, which I think could be really important going up against those Lions zone coverage schemes. If he can complete those high percentage passes, it'll help keep the chains moving, keep that offense on schedule.
Sounds like a lot of it comes down to Jones's mental game, staying calm under that pressure, making quick decisions, and executing the game plan. Do you think he has what it takes to do that against a tough opponent like the Lions?
I think he's got the potential. He's a smart player, and we've seen him have these moments of real brilliance. But yeah, this is going to be a huge test for him. I mean, the Lions are a playoff contender, and they're not going to go easy on him.
Doug Pederson has been talking about the team's positive attitude, even though they've been struggling. It seems like he believes that maintaining that mindset is crucial even when things are tough. What do you make of that approach?
I think Pederson's right. When you're losing, it's easy to kind of fall apart, start blaming each other. But these Jaguars, they seem to be staying focused on the process, on getting better. That's what you want to see from a well-coached team.
And it's not just Pederson either. Evan Engram has been talking about the team's unity and determination as well. He's really emphasized that everyone on that team, including Jones, has something to prove. In a situation like this, how important is that kind of leadership from those veteran players?
It's incredibly important. When you have guys like Engram, who are so respected in that locker room, they step up and set a positive example. It can make a huge difference. It helps to keep everyone accountable and working towards that same goal.
So even though they're facing an uphill battle here, the Jaguars are finding strength in their leadership and their belief in each other. Do you think that'll be enough to overcome the odds against a strong team like the Lions?
It's going to be tough. The Lions are very talented, and they're playing at a very high level. But the Jaguars have shown they're not quitters. They're going to come out swinging and try to make a statement.
Let's shift gears a little and talk about the Lions' defense. What are some of the key strengths there that the Jaguars really need to be aware of?
Well, that defensive line is a force to be reckoned with. They have a really great combination of size, speed, and power, and they can really put the pressure on a quarterback. Aiden Hutchinson is a young star. He can disrupt a play, whether it's as a pass rusher or a run stopper.
So that Jaguars offensive line is going to have their hands full trying to protect Jones.
They're going to need to play their best game if they want to keep him upright. And it's not just the defensive line either. The Lions have playmakers all over that defense. The linebackers are athletic and they cover a lot of ground, and that secondary is opportunistic. They can create turnovers.
It sounds like no matter where the Jaguars turn on offense, they're going to be facing a challenge.
The Lions have a very well-rounded defense, and they're going to be coming after Jones from all angles.
But the Jaguars have shown some fight in their recent games. Even though they lost to the Vikings last week, it was a close one. And they definitely had their chances. Are there any potential weaknesses in the Lions' defense you think the Jaguars might be able to exploit?
One area they might be able to attack is the Lions' secondary. Now they're talented, but they have given up some big plays this. If Jones can connect with, say, Christian Kirk or Zay Jones on a few deep passes, it could really change the whole momentum of the game.
So for the Jaguars, the key is going to be avoiding mistakes on offense and taking advantage of any opportunities the Lions' defense might give them.
Exactly. They need to play smart, disciplined football and hope that they can create a couple of those big plays that can swing the game in their favor.
And on the other side of the ball, the Jaguars' defense is going to have to contain that Lions' offense, led by Jared Goff. Right. Any key matchups on that side of the ball we should be watching?
Well, the Jaguars' secondary is going to have to step up and try to limit the damage from Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's Goff's go-to guy, and he's really hard to cover.
He has been one of the most productive receivers in the league this season. That's a tough task for any cornerback.
It's going to be a challenge, but the Jaguars do have some talent back there. Tyson Campbell and Darius Williams, they're both capable of making plays.
And the Jaguars' pass rush is going to need to put pressure on Goff, disrupt that passing game.
Absolutely. If they can get to him early, force him into making some bad decisions, it'll go a long way towards slowing that Lions offense.
So it sounds like this game is going to come down to a few key things. Can Mac Jones avoid those turnovers and make enough plays to keep the Jaguars moving? Can the Jaguars' defense contain St. Brown and disrupt Goff's rhythm? And can the Jaguars hold on to that positive attitude and their belief in themselves even if things get tough?
Those are all great points. If the Jaguars can pull that off, they've got a chance at set.
It's going to be fascinating.
I agree. It's a tough matchup for the Jaguars, but they've shown a lot of resilience, and they're going to give it everything they've got.
Even with the odds stacked against them, the Jaguars are going into this with a fighting spirit and a belief that they can compete.
That's all you can ask for as a fan. It'd be easy to just give up when things are tough, but this team, they're embracing the challenge.
The outcome is still up in the air, but the Jaguars' resilience and determination are definitely to watch.
I agree. It'll be interesting to see how they do against the strong Lions.
This game could be a really valuable learning experience for Jones and the rest of the team as they keep developing and building for the future.
Without a doubt, every game is an opportunity to grow and get better, and this one is no different.
The Jaguars may be facing an uphill battle here, but their commitment to improvement and their supportive team environment could be key as they navigate this tough stretch.
I think that's a great point to end on. Their season may not be going to plan, but their attitude and approach are definitely something it'll be fascinating to see how they continue to develop. It'll be interesting to watch that Jaguars offensive line too. See how they hold up against the Lions pass rush. They've had their struggles, and this is going to be a real test for them.
Especially with Cam Robinson still out with that knee injury. They're going to need Walker Little to really step up, play a solid game over there at left tackle.
Absolutely. He's a talented player, but he's still pretty inexperienced. So, yeah, this is a big opportunity for him to show what he can do against a top-tier defense.
And flipping over to the other side of the ball, the Jaguars' defense is going to have to figure out how to slow down DeAndre Swift. He's been such a key part of the Lions' offense, both as a runner and a receiver.
Oh, he's dynamic. He can make things happen in the open field. The Jaguars are going to have to be really disciplined with their tackling, make sure they don't let him break off any of those.
Devin Lloyd and Foye Oluokun are going to have a lot of responsibility there, containing Swift. They're both athletic linebackers.
Yeah.
But they're going to have to be at their best to keep up with him.
Yeah, and don't forget about Jamal Williams either. He's a powerful runner. He can really wear a defense down. The Lions have a great 1-2 punch at running back. It's going to be a tough challenge for the Jaguars to stop them.
Sounds like this game is going to be a real battle of strengths. Lions offense against the Jaguars defense.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's going to be a physical game. And whichever team can kind of impose their will is probably going to come out on top.
Pederson has talked a lot about the importance of winning the turnover battle.
Yeah.
How much of a factor do you think that'll be in this game?
Turnovers are always important. But yeah, I think in this matchup they could be especially crucial. Both teams have offenses that can put points on the board, so any extra possessions could be a difference maker.
The Jaguars have had some trouble with turnovers this season. They're going to have to protect the ball if they want to have a chance against the Lions.
Absolutely. And the Jaguars defense needs to create some turnovers of their own. If they can force Goff into making give their offense some short fields to work with, that would be.
So it's a game of inches. Every play, every possession, they all count.
Exactly. This is one of those games where the little things could make a big difference.
One thing that's been encouraging to see from the Jaguars this season is their ability to stay competitive. Even though they've lost some close games, they've shown we can hang in there with some of the better teams in the league.
Yeah, they've had some tough breaks, but they haven't let it get to them. They're still playing hard and trying to get better every week.
That's a real testament to Pederson and his coaching staff. They've instilled this culture of accountability. And resilience on this team.
Yeah, it's impressive how they've been able to keep everyone and focus, even with all the adversity.
And it's not just the coaches. The players deserve a lot of credit, too. They've bought into what Pederson is preaching, and they're playing for each other.
It's clear there's a strong connection between these guys, and that can be such a valuable asset.
And it's something that could really pay off down the line, even if they don't make the playoffs this season. They're building something special here.
I agree. They have a young, talented roster, and they're playing in a tough division, but they're making progress. They're headed in the right direction.
Let's talk about the Jaguars' running game for a minute. Travis Etienne has been a bright spot for them this year, but he's been dealing with some injuries lately. How do you see that running back situation playing out against the Lions?
Etienne's health is going to be a major factor. If he's able to go and play at full strength, he could have a big game against his Lions defense. They've been susceptible to the run at times, and Etienne has the explosiveness to take advantage of that.
But if he's limited or can't play at all, the Jaguars are going to need Jamichael Hasty to step up. He's shown some flashes, but he hasn't been very consistent.
He's a solid backup, but he's not on the same level as Etienne. There's no doubt that their running game is better when Etienne's healthy.
Sounds like the Jaguars' offensive game plan might have to change a bit, depending on whether or not Etienne can play. If he's healthy, they can lean on that running game, try to control the clock. But if he's out, they might have to rely more on Jones and the passing game.
That makes sense. You got to be adaptable. Play to your strengths. If Etienne isn't playing, they can't be afraid to let Jones air it out and try to make some plays.
Speaking of Jones, what are your expectations for him in this?
I think he's going to be under a lot of pressure from that Lions defense. They're going to try to rattle him, send those blitzes, force him into making some bad decisions.
But he has shown that he can handle pressure, though. Make plays when he needs to.
He's a tough player. He's not afraid of the big moments.
So this is going to be a real battle then. Jones versus that Lions defense. Whichever side comes out on top could very well decide the game.
I think that's right. It's definitely going to be an exciting matchup to watch.
One thing I've noticed about Jones is he seems to have a good connection with Ingram. They've connected on some big plays this season, and Ingram has been a really reliable target for him.
Yeah, their chemistry is definitely something to keep an eye on. Ingram is a talented tight end. He's a real weapon in that Jaguars offense.
He's a big target. He can make those contested catches. And he's a good blocker, too.
He's a well-rounded player who can contribute in a lot of different ways.
It's going to be interesting to see how they use Ingram in this. He could be a big part of their success.
I agree. He creates mismatches for a lot of defenses. The Jaguars need to take advantage of that.
This is going to be a real test for the Jaguars. Tough opponent on the road, dealing with some injuries, but they've shown that they're resilient. They're not going to back down from a challenge.
They're going to come out fighting, try to prove that they belong.
And that's all you can ask for as a fan. You want to see them compete. Give it their all.
Exactly. This is a team with a lot of heart, and you're not going to quit.
Well, it's going to be a fun game to watch. I can't wait to see how it all plays out.
Me too. It's going to be interesting to see how they respond to this challenge. And we can't forget about special teams either. They could be a factor in this one too. They've been pretty solid this season, but they're going to have to be on point against the Lions.
Logan Cook's been punting well, and Riley Patterson's been pretty consistent with those field goals. But the Lions have a real weapon back there with Callie Framan.
Oh, yeah. He's dangerous. Every time he touches the ball, he's a threat to take it all the way. Those coverage units are going to have to be sharp. Make sure they don't give many room.
It's going to be a fun coaching matchup, too. Pederson versus Campbell, two very different personalities, but both really well-respected coaches.
Yeah. Pederson's known for his offensive schemes, his ability to develop quarterbacks. And Campbell, he's a real motivator. He gets the best out of his...
It's a real clash of styles. Could make for a really exciting game.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be fun to see how they each approach this game, how they try to outsmart each other.
At the end of the day, though, it comes down to execution. The team that makes the fewest mistakes and capitalizes on their opportunities, that's the team that's going to win.
That's true in any game, but especially one like this. These teams are pretty evenly matched. It's going to be close.
So it's going to come down to the wire then. Who's going to step up and make those big plays in crunch time?
That's the question, isn't it? I have a feeling this one's going to come down to the final possession.
I can't wait to see how it unfolds.
Me neither. It's going to be a good one.